If you clicked on this video, I think it's safe to assume that you love dinosaurs, or prehistoric life in general. And I'm sure that many of you have always wondered if there was a website out there that had a ton of dinosaur information while simultaneously providing you with absolutely gorgeous 3D models for you to take a look at. Well, you'll be happy to hear that that website does indeed exist. It's known as the Facts app, Mesozoic Wonders right here. The link for it will be down below. I highly recommend checking it out. But in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at it, looking at a few of these models and seeing how absolutely gorgeous they are, and looking at some of the information that is provided with those models. Now, here's what you open up to. This is the opening page. Basically, you got two sections right here. There's the Explore Encyclopedia section, and there's the Compare Dinosaurs section. First, we're going to do the Explore Encyclopedia section. Here is how everything is situated right here. So we have like the Permian section that currently only has one animal, that being Dimetrodon. Then you go into the Triassic, which has a few more critters. Then into the Jurassic, that has, of course, way more. And then the Cretaceous period, that currently has the most. Per my knowledge, they are still adding to this website. More models are being made, more absolutely gorgeous models that, as you can see, just look incredibly stunning right here. So what do we want to take a look at first? Now, I have spent some time on this website before, so it's not really a surprise for me. But again, this is all something that I really want you guys to see. Let's look at Dimetrodon. Let's look at the synapsid that is not a dinosaur, of course. Now look at this. This is all of the stats that you essentially get when you open it up. You get like the preferred food of Dimetrodon, that being like fish and of course regular meat, the length around 3 meters, the height at 2 meters, and the weight at 200 kilograms. You also can see where the animal lived in life, that of course being in North America. You get the time in which it lived, 295 million years ago to 270 million years ago, and you get all of the scientific classifications all the way down, like starting at the domain all the way down to the specific species that we're looking at, which is Limbatus. There's a few different species of Dimetrodon that are known in the fossil record. And then, there's like a little bit of an introduction right here. The sailback that ruled before the dinosaurs. Though often mistaken for a dinosaur, this sail-backed predator lived over 30 million years before the first dinosaurs and was actually an ancient relative of mammals, which of course is true. It is as you can see up here, it belongs to the clade known as Synapsida. We are a part of that clade as well. So yes, that means that Dimetrodon is far more closely related to us than it is to any reptile for that matter. And that doesn't mean that Dimetrodon's our ancestor. A lot of times people like blow that out of proportion. They hear that Dimetrodon's a closer relative to us and they automatically assume that we evolved from the Dimetrodon. And no, that's not true. It's more like a distant cousin in a way, like a great cousin in a lot of ways. And then this is all the information you get. You get an overview, the discovery of Dimetrodon, the evolution of Dimetrodon, the description of Dimetrodon, the ecology, the extinction and legacy, and some frequently asked questions. Like take, for example, this one caught my eye immediately. Was Dimetrodon a dinosaur? No, despite often being mistaken for one, Dimetrodon was not a dinosaur, nor was it closely related to them. It lived 30 million years before the first dinosaurs and is closer related to mammals than to dinosaurs and reptiles. Yeah, of course, we just covered that. But yeah, this is amazing. And to top it all off, you get to press this 360 icon right here, and you get a nice 360 view of this gorgeous model. And I love the way that it looks. Look at this. Look at the insane amount of detail that's in this model alone. Look at that head shape, and the coloration is just absolutely stunning. And I love the patterns that it has in its sail. So yeah, this is of course a great start to what is an amazing website. So moving on from the Permian, there's way more Triassic creatures that we can take a look at. One that I absolutely want to showcase is Mastodonsaurus, or Mastodonsaurus, however it be pronounced. This is a huge, huge amphibian. Like, look at that, 2 tons in weight, a 2-ton amphibian. Lived in Europe, 4 to 6 meters in length, and a height of 1 meter. These guys, like, they lived at a time when amphibians were absolutely massive. And I recently learned about Mastodonsaurus on like a TikTok stream that I was doing, and my mind was blown about it. What is the biggest amphibian ever? Mastodonsaurus was one of the largest amphibians of all time, if not the largest. See, I didn't know that. That's why I like this stuff. Sometimes Prionosuchus is put forward as the largest. However, this cannot be verified by official scientific sources. Therefore, based on verifiable data, Mastodonsaurus may be the true record holder, which is that's so cool. And yeah, there's just a lot of really cool things here. Of course, there's a lot of amazing information that you could sink your teeth into. And once again, you just get a absolutely gorgeous model. I mean, look at that. I like how I like the sheen of it, very sheeny, like a true amphibian. Way larger than any salamander that we have today, even the largest like Japanese salamanders. We can look at Smilosuchus here. So far, we haven't looked at a single dinosaur, which is, it's always really cool to have non-dinosaurs present here. The super croc before crocs. The late Triassic wetlands were the domain of the crocodile-like phytosaurs. And the largest, Smilosuchus, ruled what is now Arizona and was the Triassic equivalent to the Cretaceous supercroc, Sarcosuchus. Look at this gorgeous model. Wow, look at that. Oh man, look at the insane amount of detail on this guy. That is so cool. Phytosaurs are really interesting animals. I quite like phytosaurs. Ishigualastia, I want to take a look at that too. We're going to be seeing this guy in a documentary called Surviving Earth. There was an amazing behind the scenes video that was posted that showcased how they did the tongue of Ishigualastia. Very gross, but very amazing. And yeah, it was a big Dicynodont that I'm very excited to see. The odd herbivore from Ishigualasto. This distant relative of mammals was one of the last and largest of the Dicynodonts, a group of therapsids which were the top herbivores of the early and middle Triassic, but which well, I cannot read today, I guess, but which would soon be replaced by the dinosaur herbivores, which were beginning to proliferate around it. Yeah, that pretty much sums it all up. We're going to be taking a look at a few of those guys that we checked out later because there's another really cool thing about this website that I think is amazing. And then there's one dinosaur that was pretty large, for being a dinosaur at this time. Dinosaurs in the Triassic were they weren't nearly as abundant. They weren't nearly as diverse as they will be in the Jurassic. And not a lot of them got to be huge. And a lot of that reason is beforehand, like we mentioned, is because there was creatures like Dicynodonts that kind of filled that large herbivorous animal role. But eventually they were slowly kind of essentially being outcompeted by the larger dinosaurs, like take, for example, Plateosaurus, who was about 2.1 tons. That's a big animal. It is a basal sauropodomorph, which means in a lot of ways it's like the precursor of later, more derived sauropods that you guys love. Argentinosaurus. You guys like them. Let's read a little bit more about it. The Swabian dragon. Plateosaurus was the first prosauropod ever discovered, and it is now known from over 100 specimens, many from Swabia, Germany, earning it the nickname Swabian dragon and making it one of the best known Triassic dinosaurs. And again, there's just so much really cool information that you can get from this. I really do like this frequently asked questions section because, when it comes to dinosaurs and other extinct animals, there are some questions that show up a little bit more frequently than others. The closest relatives or, where did it live or when did it live? Classic stuff like that. From that point on, there's, of course, other amazing creatures like Coelophysis, Eoraptor, which is also a basal sauropodomorph. Little fun fact. This little dude that looks like a theropod is actually a basal sauropodomorph. Again, the precursor of the later, more derived sauropods like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus. The Dawn dinosaur, see right there, suborder Sauropodomorpha. Isn't that just absolutely amazing? And that's because, the closer you get to the common ancestor of sauropods and theropods, the more alike they seem to be. In fact, it's even thought that some early prosauropods, or sauropodomorphs rather, basal sauropodomorphs, were omnivorous as they were starting to transition. In fact, that's how it's showcased up here. You have insects, you have plants, and you have meat on Eoraptor's diet, like it's on the menu. Let's see what this says about it. The Dawn dinosaur. This diminutive dinosaur, once thought to be an early theropod, has since been reinterpreted as a basal sauropodomorph. But Eoraptor is nevertheless thought to be very similar to how the first dinosaurs would have looked, and offers vital clues to our understanding of the origin of dinosaurs. Just so many really cool tidbits. And that's just the Triassic. We'll go ahead and move on to the Jurassic now, which is, when dinosaurs really start to diversify, that's when dinosaurs are really starting to be way more abundant. Is during the Jurassic period, at the start of the early Jurassic, of course. Like, hey, look at that, we have Cryolophosaurus, and I bet Kanati would absolutely love this model. It is a gorgeous model. Look at this. Oh, that is so cool, and I love the way that that crest looks. I love how jagged it is on top right here, and those vibrant colors are very nice. This is a beautiful, beautiful model, and I also really like the small amounts of feathers that we see on it, which is very much possible for a dinosaur like Cryolophosaurus. Oh my gosh, look at that! Look at the way that its like mouth closes. That is so cool. Oh man, that is so cool. What else do we have here? Of course, we do have Allosaurus fragilis, one of the most famous theropods. Period. And again, you just get all of this amazing information about said Allosaurus, the lion of the Jurassic. Yes, that's how it's often described. Allosaurus was one of the top predators of late Jurassic North America and the most common, making it one of the best studied theropod dinosaurs. Its abundant fossils have provided a wealth of information and valuable insights into various aspects of its biology. Very true indeed. Very true. Oh my gosh, look at this beautiful art by Sergei Avtushenko. I am so sorry. I know I mispronounced that. I am so sorry. Amazing art, though. Amazing, amazing art. Not all of them have art like that. That is so interesting. Why is that? Is it because, yeah, the ecology? So, yeah, this is, of course, like a little picture of the Morrison Formation, which is this huge section of the U.S. that encompasses several United States states. It's like it's probably like one of the most famous formations out there. So I'm sure that many of you are familiar. But it had like an abundance of dinosaurs, including like Stegosaurus, Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus, Torvosaurus, all of those really amazing dinosaurs, and plenty of sauropods. Like it was not lacking in sauropods. Look at this guy. This is a beautiful model. I love the patterns and the colors too. Look at that. Oh, isn't that sick? That is amazing. I love the way that the lacrimal crests look as well. On that note, there's a beautiful, beautiful Ceratosaurus model right here. Look at this thing. Look how gorgeous this model looks. The horned slasher of the late Jurassic forests. Ceratosaurus was specially adapted to survive in a world of fierce competition from other large predators, and sported the proportionally longest slashing teeth of any dinosaur, as well as being the only theropod known to have had a nasal horn. Such a beautiful model. I love the blue mixed in with the yellow. Isn't that just gorgeous? And all the proportions look great. And you'll notice it does have osteoderms that go down the midline of its back. That is something that Ceratosaurus did have. It's like one of the only theropods that did have something like that. Oh man, and I love the bulk that it has in its neck. This is how I often picture Ceratosaurus. Is this like this beefy in the neck? And yeah, it looks so good. Let's see. What else do we want to look at from the Jurassic? And again, if there's anything that you guys want to look at, just come and check out the website. Of course, it's free. Link is down below. Highly recommend it. Compsognathus. It's got like Sinosauropteryx colors. That's fun. They both do belong to the same family, Compsognathidae. That is, if Compsognathidae does exist, because there's a lot of debate going on about whether or not the animals within Compsognathidae are actually just juveniles of other established dinosaurs, which I'm sure is a possibility. There's always some type of debate going around. That's one thing that's certain about paleontology, is that you're going to have debates. There's no shortage of that. All right, so that was a little bit. We haven't looked at any marine reptiles. Which one do we want to look at? There's only one in the Jurassic, so we'll check it out. I don't know this guy. Romeleosaurus cramptoni. Okay. The mildly macropredator predatory plesiosaur of the early Jurassic. Most plesiosaurs come in two main flavors: long-necked, small-headed hunters of small prey, and short-necked, big-headed macro predators. I don't know why I keep struggling with that word, but Romeleosaurus and its kin were somewhere in between, and it is unclear how exactly they are related to other plesiosaurs. Really, I haven't heard about that. Huh. What are some of the frequently asked questions? Because now I have questions, and are some of my questions here? I'm gonna return to this one, and I'm gonna read a little bit more about it. But let's take a look at this model. That is a gorgeous model. That is a gorgeous model. That is a gorgeous model. I've been saying that a lot. I am completely aware of that fact, but these are gorgeous models. We'll go ahead and move on to the Cretaceous period now. Ionosaurus. Yes, the many interpretations of Ionosaurus video has been delayed, but I'm sure that many of you know about that. So to tie you over, let's take a look at this amazing Ionosaurus model. It is gorgeous. This is a beautiful model. Like, it's got the reduced tail that is very common in ceratopsians. The nasal horn is very much present. You'll notice that Ionosaurus's nasal horn curves forward and downward as opposed to like either up or backwards, like most other ceratopsians, or especially centrosaurian ceratopsians. And the occipitals up here look gorgeous as well. The feet look correct, both the back and the front. Is a beautiful model. It is just a flat out beautiful model. I haven't looked at this one yet, actually. This one's all completely new to me. Pachycephalosaurus. As you know, one of the bump head dinosaurs, I suppose. This is a nice model too. Look at that. Got the small arms too. I don't think we have the arms of Pachycephalosaurus specifically, but I was always thought that they did have small hands and relatively small arms. And the Zavacephali, which is another type of Pachycephalosaur, actually does have those things. So it seems likely the Pachycephalosaurus would too. I also really like how its dome up here is like a really striking blue coloration. Much like other animals, yeah, they probably did use them to like hit each other in the head. But they also simultaneously likely use them for display purposes, because a lot of times in nature, actually most of the time in nature, when animals have structures like that, they're multi-purpose. They use them for multiple things. They're not just a one use thing, or one thing, whatever. You get what I'm saying. But yeah, so the fact that it's like a brightly colored implies that it uses it for display as well, which is quite awesome. Eutyrannus, Lakota really likes this model, and I agree with him. Like, this is a very nice model of a Eutyrannus right here. Look at that thing. The head shape looks amazing. It's got its nasal ridge, it's got the lacrimal crests, huge arms, huge claws, and it does have the feathers. That's something that makes Eutyrannus incredibly notable, and I'm sure that's something that they actually talk about in the thing right here. Eutyrannus, the first and feathery tyrant king. In a time long before T-Rex, when most tyrannosaurs were still small, Eutyrannus became one of the first tyrannosaur apex predators. But like its smaller relatives, it was fully feathered, making it the largest known dinosaur with this trait. And yes, that is absolutely true. There's other dinosaurs that are larger than Eutyrannus that are suspected to have feathers, like T-Rex itself or Dinochirus. But Eutyrannus is the largest with direct fossil evidence that shows us that it had feathers, that being the form of feather imprints. The Yixian Formation, the place where Eutyrannus was found, is like perfect for preserving feathers, as we've found out over the many years that we've been finding a lot of feathered dinosaurs there. And a lot of that has to do with the like high volcanic activity that existed in the Yixian Formation. So it's like a little bit more difficult for feathers to preserve around the world. That's not to say that it never happens. Of course it does, but it just happens a little bit more frequently where Eutyrannus lived. So of course it makes sense that we found the evidence for the largest dinosaur to have feathers there. And again, that doesn't mean that Eutyrannus is the largest. It's just the largest that we have direct evidence for. Other dinosaurs that are larger than Eutyrannus probably had feathers. Rhiperovenator. This is really cool. This makes me want to see Ceratopsuchops. I've like really kind of developed a liking to Ceratopsuchops. I don't know why. It's a very fragmentary Spinosaur, but for some reason I love it. I don't know why. If memory serves me correctly, I believe that Rhiperovenator actually did live with Ceratopsuchops. Two different Spinosaurs. Yeah, the early Wessex Formation. Yeah, two Spinosaurs that lived in a similar, like in the same place is always really interesting. In fact, I think there's some art that depicts them together. And it's just a gorgeous model. I love me a good Spinosaur model. And look at this. Very Baryonychine, with that thin snout over here, the crest in between the eyes, I suppose, like, slightly ahead of the eyes, but in between them as well. Huge arms. It's gorgeous, and the colors are really nice. Okay, so that's a little bit of the encyclopedia. Unless there's something else I want to take a look at real quick, we're going to take a look at another amazing feature that this website offers. Hatzegopteryx, might as well. Hatzegopteryx is very fragmentary, but it's often portrayed like this, of course. This is a beautiful model. One of the largest flying animals to ever exist. It's quite beautiful here. I like it. I like that. So, on top of that, another amazing feature comes in the form of compare. As you can see up here, there's this little thing that says compare. Click on that, and what you could do is I can like select, like let's say Mastodonsaurus compared to Ishigualastia, and we can compare it. Look at that. Look at that. You can compare them. Plus, you get, you can compare them to a human as well as these other creatures. And didn't I tell you? Look how big that amphibian is. That's insane, right? This guy's also huge, but what's funny is that it kind of seems a little bit small compared to Mastodonsaurus. I love it. I love Mastodonsaurus so much, even though I just learned about it not too long ago. Let's add some more creatures. What else do we want to compare here? Let's get. Ooh, let's see Stegosaurus stenops compared to Allosaurus fragilis. Let's see how those stack up to each other. Wow. That is so interesting. And of course, there's like different views you can do. There's the front view, which we're currently on. There's the dorsal view that kind of gives you like a little bit of a bird's eye view of what these guys look like and their length compared to each other, which is pretty valuable overall. And the side view, which again kind of helps out in a few different areas. What a gorgeous Stegosaurus model, by the way. Anyway, yeah, this is their size compared to each other. Another creature that we can add, actually, it comes in the form of, more animals that coexisted, the medium-sized Ceratosaurus and the large Allosaurus. Let's see how they stack up to each other. So yeah, Ceratosaurus is certainly smaller than Allosaurus, because again, it is a medium-sized theropod, and like that really puts it into perspective. This is something that I'm sure would help out a lot of people who just want to learn about these animals and people who like paleo artists. I'm sure this will help out paleo artists too. This is a very valuable tool that, again, I've said it 15 times by now. I really do recommend. Like, look at that. That is cool, isn't it? That is very cool. Let's see what else. Now let's add some animals that are like drastically different from each other in the fact that they lived far apart. Oh, let's look at Tyrannus compared to. We've been looking at a lot of Allosaurus, but we'll do Allosaurus again. Let's look at those two. Wow, they are similar in size, aren't they? Huh. That is so interesting. And what's funny is that Tyrannus is a tyrannosauroid. It's not even an allosauroid, and yet they kind of look similar to one another. I believe that's something that Lakota brought up is that, yeah, it's what's kind of funny is that Tyrannus looks a bit more like an allosaur than it does a tyrannosaur, which is kind of funny, really. That is so interesting. What else can we do here? Let's actually, I want to see how many I can add. Can I add all of them? It's letting me. It's letting me add like a good number of them at the very least. There's Dacosaurus. That's cool. Dimorphodon, which is biology's like one of biology's favorite pterosaurs. Biology is a buddy of mine, and Lakota's a buddy of mine too. I keep mentioning like some buddies that I have. Let's take a look at all of them. This will look like one of those really fun like dinosaur charts that you can sometimes buy in like a museum gift shop or something like that. Let's see them all compared to one. Look at the size of Shonisaurus. Can you tell that that is one of the biggest animals to ever exist? Oh my gosh, there's Mastodonsaurus. Some of these small guys over here too. Oh my gosh, then you get to like the Brachiosaurus next to a Camarasaurus right there. Cryolophosaurus, Dicraeosaurus, Glacialsaurus, I think. Stegosaurus, Alamosaurus, Alioramus, perhaps? Ankylosaurus, Ostroraptor. We haven't looked at Ostroraptor. I love Ostroraptor. Look at this. Isn't that awesome? You can't tell me that's not awesome. That is like that is the exact thing that awesome is. Okay, hold on a second. Let's look at Ostroraptor compared to Alioramus. Okay, here they are. See, that really shows how big Ostroraptor is. That is a big animal. Alioramus is pretty big too. It's like even the dinosaurs that we consider like medium sized or even small are sometimes like surprisingly large compared to us right here. Just a little human being. I want to see like their length. So let's go ahead and see their dorsal view. Holy cow. Yeah. Ostroraptor was 20 feet in length. That is so crazy, dude. That is so crazy. I love this. I can spend so much time on this website. This website is just so much fun. I don't know what it is about it. It's a great way to visualize dinosaurs. Like, let's take a look at Ionosaurus, for example, compared to Chasmosaurus. Let's look at those two. They're two different types of ceratopsians. One is a Chasmosaurian, one is a Centrosaurian. Inosaurus was definitely not one of the largest uh, ceratopsians. You know, it wasn't small by any stretch of the imagination, but look at that compared to us. Like most of us are probably taller than it. The same could potentially be said for Chasmosaurus, though it is a bit taller than uh, Inosaurus is. Man, I really can't wait to see what animals get added to this. This is seriously. Let's look at the Compsognathus. Let's look at Compsognathus compared to Brachiosaurus. Look at that size difference. How are you going to look me in the eye and tell me the Compsognathus is a dinosaur, huh? Look at it compared to a Brachiosaurus. They are so incredibly different from each other, they can't possibly be dinosaurs. I'm making fun of people that like to say that birds are not dinosaurs because they look different from dinosaurs. When that is such a funny thing to say because look how diverse Dinosauria truly is. You got Austroraptor, you got Ankylosaurus, you have like Brachiosaurus, you have Stegosaurus, you have Chasmosaurus, you have Corythosaurus. Now let's compare those all. These are all dinosaurs. Look how different they are from each other. Is it really that surprising that birds are a part of that diverse clade? I mean, come on, people. Let's look at the Corythosaurus again, though. I quite liked that model. And let's look at it compared to Hatzegopteryx. I'm actually kind of interested to see this. There they are. Look at that. Dang, that is a tall pterosaur. Let's look at it. I think you could turn off the people, and I don't know why it's not working. Let's switch to, or let's do that. Let's press that. Or let's switch to dorsal view. Let's turn on P. There we go. There's the person. Holy cow. Man, that is a big pterosaur. You know, the pterosaur that's the size of a giraffe is really not an understatement here. Look at the size of that thing. Look at the size of that thing. That is just insane. In the membrane. I'll look at a couple more and then I'll call it good there. But I'm just having so much fun that I'm finding it difficult to do that. Saurosuchus. Let's look at Saurosuchus compared to Guanlong. Why not? Oh, wow. Guanlong's a bit larger than I thought. Oh, no, no, okay, never mind. Yeah, okay, never mind. Never mind. I retract my statement, but look at Saurosuchus. That is a gorgeous model, too. Wouldn't you believe that most of these models are quite gorgeous? They're quite accurate. They're quite accurate. I'm sure there's some things that you could find that are not too terribly accurate about them, but broad strokes of it and all things considered, they're really good. Pterodactylus. Let's look at Pterodactylus compared to Corythosaurus. I forgot I was going to look at it again. Oh, right. I did with Hatzegopteryx. Look at the size of Pterodactylus. Here, I want to take a closer look at the Pterodactylus model. I knew that they were small, but I don't think I quite registered how small. Pterodactylus antiquus. That is a cool model. I love the little feathers that it has going on here. Yes, pycnal fibers are basically feathers, okay? All right, well, yeah, that is the website. Again, I really do recommend you check it out. They are amazing. There's, of course, this news section over here that probably gives you more updates like about this, and it shows a lot of the contributors. I believe a lot of the artists who worked on this that really brought these animals to life, as well as I'm sure some of the consultants that also contributed to making sure that the information is correct. There's also an update section right here. I'm not seeing anything unless it's not loading. It might not be loading. Bounded on either side of mass extinctions, a well known for a strange creature. Ship and expansion. Okay. And then there's also a discovery section, which currently there's only 3 things right here. Does extinction have to be forever? The newest member of the Tyrannosaurs, which Tyrannosauroidea, I'm sure, because it's talking about Conculu, and newly discovered allosaur teeth show that Utahraptor wasn't top dog in early Cretaceous Utah, which is something that I still haven't read into, so I'm definitely going to be checking this out. But this is a great place to learn. A lot of times people ask me where are some great places to learn about dinosaurs, and oftentimes I'll tell them books. Or even just like other science communicators. This is another one that you could probably add to your list because as far as I could tell so far, it's pretty darn good. Like it offers a lot of really good, insightful information about these animals, and it helps you visualize those animals, which is something that I think is very valuable if you're just someone who wants to learn about these animals, or if you're an artist that wants to get a better understanding of their proportions or their overall anatomy. It's a great tool, So again, I really do recommend you check this out. The link, once again, is down below. But that's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day. All right.